Most job seekers, when they want to look for a job, the number one thing they do is update my resume, write everything I've done so far, go online, apply for a lot of jobs, and get busy job searching. Don't do this. If you've decided that this is the year when you want to get a new job, whether you're working right now, you've had a change in your circumstances, you're unemployed, whatever it is, do not update that resume as the first step of your job search. You would, and I promise to you, it would be soon enough, but you don't want to do it in the first stage. We want to be a little bit more strategic about our job search. See, we've been trained to become so busy doing all the time that we feel that for our job search to be successful, we just need to do without thinking what we are doing. So I'm going to make a video. It's a high-level strategy video, how I would look for a job in 2025. And this has all the elements which I try to use with my clients. A lot of them find success through it. And when I look at job search, I always invite them to look at it as experimentation. See, I don't think one particular action gives everybody the exact same result. I've had clients who've used some of these strategies and 2 of them have worked well for them, other 3 haven't. So we need to be in that zone of curiosity, experimentation, but constantly evaluating what's working, what's not working, what do we do more of, what do we stop doing. And that's exactly what we want to be using. So instead of just going there, updating your resume, and then going crazy with your job search and hoping and praying, or rather what we in recruitment world called the spray and pray method, we are going to be very strategic, very intentional with the way we are going to go about with the job search. And I'm going to share exactly how I would do my job search in 2025 and how I would go about bringing more clarity and better results without feeling burnt out. Hi, my name is Shub Faujdar. I am a Singapore-based job search strategist and career coach and a former corporate recruiter. I'm also a LinkedIn top voice where I share job search and career development advice almost on a daily basis. So please do follow me there. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I release 2 videos every week, Tuesdays, very short nano tips, less than 2 minutes, which you can start implementing immediately. And on Thursdays, we do a deep dive. By the way, I've also just recently launched my Instagram, so please do follow me there. I look forward to engaging more intimately with you as we continue to build our community. So if I hypothetically had to look for a job in 2025, the number one thing I have to do is introspection without even looking at external factors, without putting it out there, without exploring job advertisements, talking to people. I would first sit with myself and have this dedicated time for some deep focus work, asking myself some questions. And this is the order in which I would ask my question. Why am I looking for a job? If external circumstances are not pushing me to look for a job, that is, I am not being retrenched, I'm not moving countries, nothing is happening at my workforce, what is my motivation to be looking for a job? Because that will tell you what you need from your next role. So you don't want a scenario where you're just changing the name of the company, but you're in the exact same situation in another environment. Because 3 months later, when the honeymoon period phases out, you would start questioning, why did I make that move? So again, the why becomes really important. What's the main motivation for you to look for a role? The second thing I would do is, and not a lot of people do this, but it's so important, I will go through all my roles, every one of them, at least for the last 10-15 years, and see what have I done? What are my achievements? If you have a resume, just think about it. What did I do that people before me did not do? What would I be remembered for? What I loved about this job, what I did not like about this job. And when you do it for the last few years, maybe you've had a few job changes in the same role. Maybe you've been with the company for 15 years and then instead of looking at just the company holistically, look at each of the role. But do this exercise. It should take you 30 to 45 minutes. But it's going to do a few things. It's going to show you patterns of where you tend to do your best work. What are the things you thrive at? What are things which keep on repeating? Every time there is a certain kind of situation in your company, you're being called. What's that situation? That's your superpower. That's what makes you different from everyone else. That's your niche. That's your specialization. So start pointing that out. What you liked and don't like will tell you where you thrive, what kind of environment you want. You don't want to be looking for a job with your eyes closed. So something which Madeline Mann, I've heard her say majority of the time, soul search before you job search. And that's something which is a mantra which you need to take whenever you do your job search. So why am I looking for a job? What's the motivation? And then identifying patterns in your past roles. Once you've done this, the next thing is now you want to explore what's out there. The easiest one is look at few job descriptions. You already may have a function, industry, kind of roles you're looking at, some keywords. Start exploring what's exciting, what kind of roles naturally attract to you. What have people who did something similar to what you're currently doing have done later on? If it's a pivot, what kind of pivots you've done? When you explore a lot of these profiles, you start seeing which kind of work, which kind of companies, which kind of profiles naturally attract you. And these are the kind of roles you want to put down to be curious about, to start exploring. You don't need to finalize at this stage. So get all those things down. Moving on to the next step, it would be to have actual conversations. Very, very critical. I remember when I had done a couple of roles in recruitment, both with a big brand name, everything structured to boutique recruitment firm where I helped set up processes. I realized recruitment is not for me. And I went crazy in terms of exploring. When I say crazy, not mad crazy, but crazy in the sense of not putting a boundary. And I went to the extent of looking at audit, to public policy, to internal recruitment, HR, mobility roles, everything which appealed to me in the set of patterns I had. Like I was very good with following processes, making sure everything's structured and all, but I was also very good at people management, business development, helping people, coaching people. One of the constant feedback I got from all my clients and candidates was my consultative approach. So I also explored consulting. I looked at profiles of people who had left recruitment, and a lot of them had joined new tech companies, and this was way back 10 years back, where a lot of these companies were open for non-traditional profiles. So Google SMB sales, LinkedIn sales, so they had gone to these kind of companies. I explored those options as well. And what I did in these exploration is, apart from looking at the roles, I went and spoke to these people. What do they like? What do they not like? And once I'd done enough of this, I realized what works for me. And at that stage, I decided I wanted to start my business. And it saved me a lot of going around in the circles and figuring and interviewing. I had conversations with people who had already done this, who could give me the ground reality. So it took me 2-3 months to figure out what I wanted to do. But once I had that clarity, then everything falls into place so much easier. Also, all these people who I spoke to became part of my network. These were people who I used at a later stage to get further clarity. I got them to partner with me, and a lot of them were very happy to mentor me. So don't hesitate in reaching out to people. Once I had that clarified, now it was about building my brand. Now, from a recruiter to career coach, but that's true with all the clients I look at. Now you start thinking, because you know where you're going, you can now identify what in your past experience is going to build that brand. Keeping that in mind, you now recreate your resume, focusing on what are the different experiences which add to where you want to go. Focus on building your LinkedIn profile. Also, not just creating that profile, but building the brand on LinkedIn through content, through commenting. And I have a lot of videos in each of these steps. Today, I'm just going to cover high level. Once you've done the base work, now you have to reach out. Reach out to companies, reach out to people, reach out to existing connections. There are 5 avenues I recommend. And of course, I have a longer video which explains this in detail, but let's power through all of them. Number 1, online applications. The easiest and the least effective way. But what we want to do is, out of these 5 avenues, we want to look at 2 or 3 avenues which are giving us some results. So not all 5 avenues work for everyone. And you don't want to waste your time in an avenue which is giving you 0 results. So 5 avenues, and then you look at which 2 or 3 are working well, and then keep on optimizing those, increase the quantity of effort in all those avenues. So first one, online applications, as I said, least effective, but the easiest. This is where everybody is comfortable. So start optimizing those. Can I reach out to people to refer me? Can I look at hiring managers? And of course, I have exact videos on how to do it, including the messages you want to say. So watch some of those videos. Second avenue, recruiters. Once you've got 2-3 good recruiters, and this is not for my career changers, you don't use recruiters. This is for people who are moving in the same function. You may change industry. Some recruiters are open to that, but you at least have the function in common. And recruiters work well. You've spoken to 2-3 recruiters. Now they are passively looking for a role. You don't need to put any more effort unless they bring an opportunity for you. Third avenue is events. Networking events, virtual, face-to-face. This is good for people to just go a taster, to see how they can expand beyond their immediate circle and keep on adding. Again, I have a whole video on how to optimize your networking event. Fourth is existing connection, the gold mine. These are people who can open opportunities for you like nothing else. Now here, when you're creating your list of existing connections, don't be microscopic and myopic in terms of your closest people. In fact, people closest to you are not the best for your job search. You want to capitalize on the strength of weak ties. So there was this research done in 1973 by Mark Gretnover, I hope that's the name, and he talked about how your loser connections are best for your job search because they bring a very different set of people to you. Also, they are much more objective. Your best friend, your family, your spouse has a lot at stake with your job search, right? So they would be looking at things from their perspective as well, versus somebody who's distantly connected to you would look at your job search in a more objective manner. So how do you use them to connect? Can you have conversations with them for advice, never for a job? And the last avenue, of course, is target companies, cold outreach, speaking people in the companies you're looking at. Now, if you've used this approach in the first part, which we discussed, career exploration, you already have a list of people. If not, you can continue doing a similar approach, more exploratory, not about job, to get the in and start recruiting people who can advocate for you, who can actually share your profile, who can recommend you. Now, once you've tried this, what I recommend is for each avenue, you try it for 2-3 weeks. If the avenue is working, you continue doing that and add one more. If it's not working, you move to the next one. So by the time you explore all the avenues, it would be about 7-8 weeks. Most of the time, by the time you're done exploring all the avenues, you've got some interviews lined up. If not, then I would look at amping up my activity in the 2 or 3 avenues which are working well. Now, just as an aside, while you are building this, please continue building your brand on LinkedIn specifically, because that helps open up doors. When you're reaching out to people on a cold outreach, they'll look at your LinkedIn profile. And if you already have content, credibility, it is much easier for them to say yes to speaking with you. That's a given, and that should happen with your career even after you get a job. So I just want to get that clarified, that you don't stop on building your brand while you are approaching avenues. Now, this can't be one after the other. This is not serial. this is more of parallel work you're doing together. It's building career stories. Stories you will be using in interviews. Stories where they will say, tell me about a time when you blah, blah, blah. Even if they don't end up being used, these stories are your gold mine for everything. When you are going to have client dinners, when you are sitting with your manager waiting for something, you can share about these experiences, team lunches, team dinners. These stories are gold. In fact, some of the most senior people you see, they have 5, 6 golden stories they keep on repeating at town halls, at meetings, at in podcasts and all, because our stories don't change. We are people. So these are stories you start building. You can use them immediately in your interviews, but just by changing the context, they will help you to become very good at building connection with important stakeholders. So I would also parallelly be building career stories. I have 2 or 3 videos around career stories, so do check those out. And while you are reaching out to people, you will be having interviews, salary negotiation, all that happens all the time. Please, if you haven't done this in your career already, start a Google Sheet or something which you can keep on putting. Don't put it in an Excel in your hard drive and then you forget about it after you get the job. Your master networking list. This is such an underrated, simple tool. Now that you're doing a concentrated networking effort for your job search, use this as an opportunity to build that master networking list out, because these people are the people you want to stay in touch with even when you don't need a job. In fact, that's the best time to stay in touch with them, because then you're building the relationship, and that's a relationship you can turn to whenever you need help again. So I'm just going to summarize all the steps. I know I covered a lot of things, but here are a few things I would do. I would first introspect, look at the patterns where I thrive, what I like, what I dislike, to see where I want to go. And even before that, question, why am I looking for a role? Second, explore what I want through job descriptions, through career conversations, speaking to people who've made similar pivots. Third, build my brand, resume, LinkedIn profile, and content. And then I would start my outreach, the 5 avenues we discussed, and see which avenues come naturally to you, give you the best result. Stick with 2 or 3 of those and keep on optimizing those things which are working well for you. Nail down and increase the quantity instead of now exploring more avenues. While you're doing that, continue building your LinkedIn brand and your career stories, which you would use forever and for always. And whoever you are having conversation, just add them in a Google Excel. You don't need to have too many columns, because once you make it very complicated, people need more time to fill these. Just the names to start with. If you want, you can write the companies and all, but with the names, you can always refer back to the companies. So I hope this gives you a good overall high-level strategy, and for more details on any aspects, there are videos to help you along the journey. If you haven't already, please let me partner you in your job search. Do click on the subscribe button. Until next week, go make an impact. Bye.